Thank
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Central City Authority, I think this is one of the most fantastic and revolutionary initiatives that has been taken in recent past because we have been struggling to find the backup for solar. We are struggling with hydrogen, we are struggling with pump storage, one, and then we are struggling with battery storage. I think this initiative is the best of all because the longevity of these projects will be so much that none of the other alternatives that we are talking now can match the requirement of the massive expansion that are taking place in the country on solar side. I did bring out to you once when I was in the midst of such a discussion when people said that the old system of MOU with the chief ministers and the ministers have started happening, and then that was giving rise to some sort of licensing. And I did mention that power generation is delicensed. In the hydro sector, we made certain provision for concurrence by Central City Authority and CWC. On that, you have already taken action. I think the amount of seriousness and the importance that this subject deserves that has been taken at the central government level that must percolate down the line because I have definite information that when it comes to forest department of the states, investigations are stopped, taking permissions becomes a problem. Then you have the wildlife and sensitive zone issues. I think one point that you made that environment ministry and power ministry they are engaged on trying to see how best some sort of dispensation is agreed because this is definitely a less harmful, much less harmful as compared to other hydro projects. And particularly the closed loop on which you have given the relaxation is absolutely, we should not fear at all. And developers should engage expert agencies so that things are done better. I think the steps taken themselves are very good, and I must congratulate Central Electricity Authority and the Power Ministry and other departments and some of the steps that you said that incentivizing this initiative because the type of understanding and the type of positive feeling and rightly deserved positive feeling that we have at professional level at Central City Authority and Ministry of Power level about PSP that has to percolate down the line in the states and as well as in the ministries. To that extent, concessions like GST and other incentive should be available to this because this is the only thing I can see in the scenario that is going to be the savior of expansion of solar power. And the 200 gigawatt, that means 200,000 gigawatt, that is 2 lakh gigawatt of capacity and the amount of benefit that it will bring. One of the other points that also needs consideration of Central City Authority that in the recent past, decentralized solar, DRE, decentralized renewable energy. All the states have gone for 5 megawatt, 3 megawatt, 4 megawatt. I think many PSPs for them that could save us a lot on transmission system. So therefore, one item on the PSP could be, wherever possible, that besides the solar system doing the rural area, and in evenings backups are needed. Maybe some of the studies that could be done perhaps by the Central City Authority and some guideline could be done on that. I think the rest of the things you have also said, but my own assessment is the confidence that we have about the system at your level and at the central government level. I think you could organize the power ministers or chief ministers conference with the environment ministries of or environment departments of the states so that the importance of this as we understand now is understood by them that this is the only and perhaps the most important source of support for the transition that we are trying to manage. So I think that couple of suggestions I think we could keep in mind, and it should in no way be allowed to go through MOU route so that it becomes an indirect licensing system. Thank you very much. Mr. Bajaj, Mr. Razdan just joined, another friends all the speakers, panelists. This discussion with Mr. Ghanshyam Prasad, first his own address, followed by extensive discussions on various issues, itself has put the whole subject in the right perspective. And some of the points that I made in suggesting a few interventions by the government that could further enhance it. The concerns expressed about the size of expansion that we are talking, which is rightly deserved, and particularly with reference to the manufacturing sector, is the right concern, because the type of potential that has been established, and that is now 214,000 megawatt of pump storage in the country. That's not a small number. And already some of the projects that have started, I think BHL share is comparatively less. So therefore, BHL and other manufacturers in the country, I mean, it's not a question of only BHL, it could be a private manufacturer in the country. Manufacturing sector must come to the requirement, because what happened in case of thermal, that when we opened up the sector, we tried to have a number of manufacturers in the system. But unfortunately, that was followed by coal problem, the Supreme Court cancelling coal block allotments, and then the large number of projects getting into trouble. And then following that were the COP series of discussions on climate, and therefore thermal was put on the back burner in a way, which has again revived. And that gave rise to closing down of many of the manufacturing facilities that got created following the opening of thermal sector and other sector in the country. I don't think some point that were made, I think Mr. Mahajan made that point. I don't think that should repeat in respect of so far as pump storage is concerned, because I have been very keenly assessing, trying to interact with people, trying to learn from these discussions as also from literature available and the developments that are taking world over on the field of energy transition, energy management. Definitely solar, there is no going back. There are problems have already started surfacing. There could be issue whether the pace could be slightly moderated or will be kept as such in the light of transmission backup that may be required, that may be done also, but may not be only coinciding with the expansion that are taking place on the solar side. Like some of the massive solar expansion is being backed by HVDC system. Solar comes in 6 months, 1 year, HVDC will take 3 to 4 years. So that type of mismatch might happen. So therefore, the final figure or the figures in the next 5 years, 10 years could be as we project, but the pace of development may require some moderation in the light of these transmission things. Another issue that has emerged is also the decentralized solar system, where then transmission will have a positive effect. And to that extent, we will have to revisit in what way national grid or the state grid system needs strengthening, corresponding to the local strengthening that can be adequate in many such cases in the rural area. But backing up solar in evenings, I think out of, as I mentioned just now before Ghanshyam left, that in my assessment, all these opportunities are valid opportunities, whether it is battery energy storage or hydrogen in some way. Hydrogen is a little behind. But pump storage, because of the life of these projects, and once loan, etc., is paid, like it happens in typical hydro projects, the financials of this will be most important and most satisfying. So therefore, this is an approach. It's not new approach, but it has become relevant now. Pump storage was always relevant, but to pump thermal power with carbon dioxide associated, and get 80% of that power back or 75% of that power back was neither economically sound at that time, nor from the climate concerns that was sound. Now, answer is here that to pump up this water, you are using solar power, which is less expensive, and then you are getting 80% of that power back in the evenings. So this technology, technically, and in the long run, from financial point of view, would be more lasting and more satisfying and more sensible. And this is not to say that this is the only option that needs to be deployed, because the requirement of backing up solar of the order of 700,000 megawatt or 1,000 megawatt would not be only with pumped storage. But in time to come, maybe 5 years, 10 years, 15 years down the line, this could emerge as the most important contributor to that requirement. And the point that I made, that even in the decentralized system of supply in semi-urban and rural areas, the smaller PSPs would be considered, that it cannot be as extensively potential-wise everywhere possible, but then wherever it is possible, that needs to be done. I made certain point about the importance of this to be disseminated among the states, because interactions with people who work in different places, different states, reveal that the type of understanding and appreciation of the role of pumped storage in the revised or changed context of energy transition management is there at higher level, at maybe government at the center level, is not existing at levels where implementations matter, where implementations are sort of delayed or implementations are not supported. So that missing link will be very important. From our side also, we'll be following it up with the Ministry of Power, Central Electricity Authority. Informally in this seminar, we have already conveyed it to the Central Electricity Authority. But I must say that the government response on these matters has been very quick, very positive, and that is a good point. Biggest concern, like in solar, it happened. Our programs on solar, even today, is heavily dependent on import. So I think import dependence on manufacturing is an issue which could be here. This is not so technically, process-wise complicated as solar. So therefore, it is mechanical engineering, mechanical processes, and therefore the existing manufacturers, they may not be pump manufacturers, they may not be turbine generator manufacturers, maybe a discussions and a workshop, all such engineering, large engineering factories and companies could be organized so that whatever is the requirement, the types of requirement as Chairman Central City Authority said, and some of the things have already started happening, will be so huge. But in my mind, perhaps one is states cooperation in terms of clearances on environment and forest, including the Ministry of Environment at the government level. And second, the manufacturing inadequacies. These could prove a little troublesome, and that is what we will also try to follow up from India Energy side and from our own discussions as well. With that, I thank you very much, and let's have the other. Thank you. It's been a very absorbing session, starting from the chief guest himself, extensively explaining what is going to happen and what is happening. And that was very promising, 214 gigawatt of potential. With 214 gigawatt of potential, I think solar, wind, hydro, and pumped storage. Solar, wind, hydro, and pumped storage. That package is going to completely transform our independence on energy transition management in a great way in the next 10 to 15, 20 years. So, and this is doable. Imagine in the last 75 years, we have reached a little more than 50,000 megawatt on hydro and 214,000 or 218,000, 100,000 megawatt of pump storage in the hydro group is really a remarkable assessment. And that assessment seems to be real because some of the things as potential as they have been studied on investigation, they are found to be perfectly in order as estimated. So that's going on well. A number of public and private sector companies have, with great enthusiasm, joined the thing. At one stage, about 3, 4 months back, which I mentioned in the introductory remarks, when I came to know in one such discussion that the state governments are using as a license through MOU. And then I reminded the Central City Authority chairman, and he quickly, therefore, worked on this. And now the position is that hydropower within certain investment and pump storage, irrespective of investment in a big way, if it is closed loop, it is de-licensed. It's not licensed. You need to, if you feel, you need to go to Central City Authority and CWC for consultation, so long as it is a closed loop pump storage project. So that is a good development insofar as the administrative process, regulatory process, and the process of getting so-called techno-economic clearance is concerned. The issue that has come up today in a big way, that if this is the vast potential, and if this is the solution to the massive expansion of solar project as a backup, are we prepared on manufacturing? Solar, we went in a big way. We are not prepared. A lot of dependence on import of solar modules and other things. And quickly in solar, it was made possible that a number of private sector have come up. So far as BHL is concerned, in one such meeting about 3, 4 years back, I did say that solar manufacturing also in a significant way belonged to BHL. But BHL is in margin on that. So therefore, let it not repeat when it comes to the huge opportunities that exist for pump storage. 2.5 gigawatt is insufficient, as the point has been made, with reference to the expansion that we are anticipating. And initial studies on almost 10,000 megawatt on pump storage indicate that you don't have that much of a hassle as we normally have had and continue to have in typical hydro projects. It's not that it is oversimplified, but in a great way, it is quite different and more simplified as compared to the typical hydro project, and that it is possible, particularly the closed loop hydro pump storage projects. So I think this is a great opportunity for all of us. Chairman CA also made a point that some of the things that are being considered, they should be considered seriously. India Energy Forum will also work for this, that pump storage should get at least that dispensation in terms of any concession or benefits in tax matter or any incentivization as we are giving to other renewable projects, because all other renewable projects, and in the lead is the solar project, minus pump storage solar project has issues and challenges. And therefore, if anything, this should be looked upon with even greater understanding and greater degree of consideration. I made the point in the beginning that this type of appreciation and this type of importance that is being recognized at central level is not at this point of time being recognized at the administrative level or the political level, insofar as the state governments are concerned. So therefore, those who are developers and those who are working for it, they have the difficulty, and there would be a need to pursue with the help of central government. And I mentioned that they should try to have a chief minister's conference or at least power minister's conference to sort out these issues in which local, state level forest people, environment people should be associated with the process. And they must recognize the great importance and significance of this particular technology that has come up so handy for us. I think with these words and with the advice to the BHL and also Tehri Corporation, that BHL is our important manufacturing setup. Definitely, unless we give them chance, and we did it in certain cases. You have a performance guarantee with BHL, yes, and don't cut them out at the eligibility level, because this is not This is not such a complicated thing that it can be done. In fact, in my introductory remarks, I said that some of the other engineering manufacturers would also be allowed to do, because if we have to meet with this type of a requirement, perhaps only a couple of manufacturers may not be adequate. We may need to have more manufacturers. And the answer, commercial answer, is that if they are, because pump storage opportunities were not there in the past. So therefore, to have the eligibility that you should have had this, it will be impossible to have. So unless the developers understand this, you can't match the two requirements. So you should definitely consider them with commercial guarantees, performance guarantee that they are with you for 2, 3, 4 years, and that is how it goes. And that process will enable both the developers to meet the requirement and the manufacturers to uh, keep up to it, so that our huge dependence largely or vastly on import is reduced. I think with these words, I thank you very much. This has been a very absorbing session with a lot of wise comments. We have very eminent personalities in this, who is who of power sector in the last few decades, and it has been very enriching. Thank you very much.